thank you so much for that whole delivery. I think there's a lot of content and a lot of value in there related to like, productizing and having a scalable offer that could apply to lots of different business types. Yeah. And then also bringing that to life with your business type, which is an automation practitioner, Keap certified partner who wants to sell solutions using Solutions Launchpad. I know when you first gave this presentation or a version of this presentation at the Let's Grow Summit, the audience in mind was automation practitioners, right? Keap certified partners or people who are, in that world. But it feels it's what our customers want from us as well, right? So we want a productized business that you could sell to a coaching company, or somebody else could sell to an electrical contracting company, or somebody else could sell to a dance studio chain, or somebody else could sell to a veterinary clinic, right? Like right. We as people who are practitioners of this trade in automation want that, but it's also what that coach wants, right? Is to not have that diagram that you had that showed the one-to-one versus one-to-many, right? It's a cascading problem. So I feel like people who are in our industry could learn from this, and also people who just have one-to-one businesses that could be productized could learn from this as well. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree. I think that with the coaches that I work with, their biggest thing is that they value their time, and they feel like their time is just spread way too thin. So when they can think about how can I productize what I offer and still provide something that's high quality, I think that's up to the business owner to make sure they're providing something high quality. But if you are an expert in your industry, then you know what your people need. So as automation experts, we know what our clients need, but then as that client, as the coach, they know what their coaching clients need. So as the expert, and this is also helping establish you as an expert by saying, hey, I know what you need. It's all right that you're coming to me and you don't know what to ask me for, because I already know. Regardless of industry, it actually helps with your positioning, and it will help free up your time if you can start productizing what you're doing.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, and I think that leads me to some questions around this idea of specializing. I think that it speaks to the idea of abundance, for one thing, right? Like if you are a recently graduated vet, to know that there are an abundance of pets that like if I specialize, then the right people will be attracted to me regardless of what my competitors are doing. As automation experts or practitioners, the same thing, right? To know that there's, I don't even know how many businesses there are in America and Canada who would benefit from automation. Well, if specialized, you can kind of speak to the abundance of opportunity there is for people to work together. If I think about coaches, and this is your expertise, not mine, there's got to be a lesson in niching for all of the different markets. So in the coaching world, for example, do coaches find more success if maybe they work with executives who are directors and VPs who want to become senior VPs and C-suite, executives? They could probably come up with a better offer than saying, hey, I'm a coach, right? When coaches, anybody can put up, coach on their business card. They can say that, right? Or maybe executives who know that, hey, once I'm making more than $200,000 a year, the possibility of me getting a promotion inside my company is slim. So I need some like ultra super secret planning for where my next big employer will be. Or maybe like my wife recently, she got her master's degree, and she had paused work a couple times. She paused for each of her maternity leaves, and then she paused work to go for master's degree. And she joined something called the Moms at Work Collective that has a collective and some coaching. And they weren't saying that they were for brand new graduates or for people who were about to retire. They said they're for, women who have experienced gaps in their career progression because of the nature of, parenthood and those types of things. If you think about all of the different niches that our people like us can serve, what's the lesson in niching to them as well? Do you agree that coaches who pick a expertise do better? And is that true of all other markets as well?
I definitely agree. I agree for all markets. I see that with coaches, that the ones who specialize, I have one person who started off just saying she was a coach, and then she said she wanted to be a relationship coach and she wanted to help women. And then she just happened to mention in passing that she'd been divorced 3 times. And she's like, after divorce, it takes a lot to recover from that. And kind of the light bulb went off and she's like, oh, maybe what I need to do is coach women through and post divorce so that they know that they can thrive after divorce. That is a much more clear niche than I can coach everybody, which is what new coaches tend to say. I can coach everyone. And so when you're that clear, then the people that you're trying to reach know that you're talking to them, and they're more likely to turn to you because it's like, oh, she understands. She only works with this type of person. She gets me. So I want to work with her, and I'm willing to pay more than this person who's just a generic coach because she specializes. Another example, not from coaching, is real estate. When years ago, I was moving from a house into an apartment, and I had at the time a pit bull mix and a German Shepherd, and I was trying to move into an apartment. And if you've ever tried moving with dangerous breeds, you know that it's difficult to find a place. So I actually found a real estate agent who, number one, dealt with rentals, because not all do, and who specifically dealt with rentals for people with pets. And so I was willing to pay that person to help me find a place for these 2 monsters that I love.
Sure.
Because even though other real estate agents might have been able to help me, but when I go on Yelp or Google or wherever I found her, it's like, oh, this person is a realtor for pet owners. That's the person I reached out to.
Right. And that could go on and on, right? It could be like a mortgage broker for self-employed people.
Exactly.
It could be a financial advisor for people who had lifelong pensions and whose company is getting out of the pension game, right? Like you can define these various common job roles and common self-employed business types and start to, add some who do this or because of that type of layers to it, which I think is pretty cool.
And I want to add, it's all right to have more than one. So although you do want to niche down and be really clear about who you serve, maybe you really do serve 2 different types of people, 2 different audiences, which is still fine, but just recognize that you're going to have different messaging for each group. And you just want to make sure you're not confusing the market with who you serve.
So you don't want to widen the circle. You want to just define 2 smaller circles or 3 circles that you can
Yes.
can actually strategize and combine around. As we wrap up the specializing piece and move into to solutions and customization, I'm curious, as a automation consultant and a business coach, the thing you said about like all new coaches want to start, this way. Have you found success in like pitching this idea of niche to brand new people, or do you have to say, you'll get there? Like I'll let you sell to everybody for the next 6 to 12 to 18 months, and then when you're frustrated, it'll be easier to convince you to become like. Is that teachable to a new entrepreneur, to a new business owner, or do they need a certain amount of like generalized frustration before they see the niche idea?
It's a yes and, meaning that they understand it in theory, but until they get to that frustration point, then it's like, oh, yeah, now let me try that. Because everybody feels like they're the exception to the rule. It seems like it doesn't make sense to say you'll get more clients by targeting fewer people. Which, as a newer business owner, not necessarily a new coach, but a new business owner, that is a struggle to just kind of understand that concept. But like you said before, it comes from that place of abundance. You need to recognize that there really are enough people out there to serve. If you don't just need the mindset shift, you can Google how many of these are there of my target market in the US. Just do your market research to see
Right.
if you were in business for 20 years, could you reach all these people?
Right.
Probably not. So
And how, if you're motivated by money, which I assume that some subset of our audience is, how rich could you become with 0.5%, 1%,
Yes.
1.5%, right? Like,
Exactly.
could you build your, well, I shouldn't say multi-million-dollar empire as if that's what everyone's goal is, but like, could you be a solo practitioner making an exceptional, single person income by serving 0.1% of your available market? Could you be an exceptional multi-million-dollar agency by serving 1 or 1.5 or 2% with your team of an addressable market? Suddenly the idea of like being a big fish in a small pond feels more compelling than being a tiny fish in the entire ocean, right? And I think that speaks to this idea of specialization really nicely. And I like that you were fairly neutral on that idea. There's what you know, and then there's what you've experienced, and they're not always the same thing. So you can be told, hey, it'd be a really good idea for you to set up your business this way. And then they might know that, they might believe it, they might feel it, they might wish for it, but then they still don't do it yet. And you have to kind of, watch and wait for them to come along. It's like with your kid, right? Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. They did that. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Some consequence, some natural consequence that happens there. Okay, so let's shift a little bit. You had a slide in your talk that had a puzzle piece on it, right? And that was a little epiphany moment for me, where the idea, and then later on when you were demonstrating bundles and pieces assembled together, it made me realize that just because a solution is developed doesn't mean that it's still a one-size-fits-all solution. It could still be like, I imagined, you didn't describe it this way, but when I saw that puzzle piece image, I imagined that as, well, maybe those are the good, better, best puzzle pieces. Maybe those are the attract, nurture, sell, renew puzzle pieces, right? And like, or whatever the person building the solution can imagine those puzzle pieces to represent. But for me, it was like, okay, well, maybe the $1,000 solution is the one that's got the 2 puzzle pieces on the left and not the 2 on the right yet, right? Maybe the $10,000 solution is the one where all the puzzle pieces with a whole bunch of support and stuff get developed together. So the puzzle piece kind of modular bit was a bit of an epiphany for me, that we're not talking about you're either not buying my solution, you're buying my solution. There's still some configuration with that.
So, and that's one of the things that I like about Solution Launchpad. And I think that I just want to make sure people are clear that you can pick and choose which items you want to push into a particular app. So you could say, maybe you want to just give someone a taste of what you could do. So you want to give them just your opt-in, your lead magnet automation and landing page. So you could choose to just push that into one person's app, but then this other person's buying 3 things, the other person's buying 5 things. So you could still sell the automations as one-offs rather than as a bundle, and pick and choose which things that you want to offer. So that's a nice blend of customization, but still with a rinse and repeat approach.
When in any business, right? Even if you were manufacturing windows and not automations, or cars, you're talking about custom Mercedes or vintage Mercedes earlier. There's always that hierarchy of like the mass market offer, the mass customization offer, and then the customization offer, right? You can buy a house. You can buy a house where you pick all of your finishes, or you can hire a general contractor who buys you a plot of land and builds custom, right? Same thing with Windows, same things with automation, same things with, whatever, right? There's that hierarchy. You can buy the car that's, the Ford F-150 that most people buy, that they keep on the lot, or you can get blue and red stitching across your black leather if you want. And then you've got to get that customized for you.
Right.
So I think a lot of your presentation spoke to that idea as well, that just because you sell a package doesn't mean you're like, it could mean that you peace out and don't participate and that they watch your videos in the coaching portal and that's it. But it doesn't have to mean that. It could actually mean, well, you know what, this solution aligns with the next 5 calls we're going to have, right? Like this solution gives you all of that stuff that we're going to reach for while we do some, right? So it's, I think that speaks to that idea of mass customization. We get to install it as a best practice, and then we get to make it yours, which is that more bespoke high value bit of coaching. Is that the right approach, or is that like cheating? Is that saying, okay, now you're falling back into wanting to work too hard again? Is that the right approach or the wrong approach?
I like that approach, and I think that it's still saving you time. So it's not starting from scratch every single time. It's saying, okay, this person needs a landing page. This is my standard landing page. You know, by the time you customize it with their colors and their logo and their images, it's going to look and feel very different from the previous one you did. And you could even still have it pre-built, but maybe have 3 versions of your landing page. That's the good, better, best version of the landing page. And then that is what you then customize. Also, in terms of just how you're marketing this, you don't have to market it saying, hey, I'm going to give you this pre-built stuff. You could just market that you provide solutions for coaches. And then when they buy it, this is how you start off by giving them this package that you then customize as your process, without necessarily saying, hey, get this business in a box model that I have, which might sound more low end.
Right. Yeah. So you're still selling it as, you know, the big proper solution to their problem. And then they're not going to be upset when you reach for, you know, fast and available things later. And that whole landing page example that you had up in your presentation a couple times, it makes me think about standardizing even the customization, which sounds like a contradiction, standardizing the customization. But, you know, if you are, what do they call it? Take your own medicine, drink your own, I don't forget what the expression is. But assuming your automation agency is running in an automated fashion, right? Where, you know, you're using internal forms to say, I sold the thing, now I have to do some stuff and here's the results and so on. I suppose you could have an onboarding form that has things like, do you have a brand guide? Do you have a brand Bible? If yes, upload it. If no,
if not, please give me the hex codes of this.
Right.
If you don't know what a hex code is, here's the link to go get your hex code. Don't tell me, like one client who said, my color is black and golden. I was like, golden is not a color.
Or if it's like, you know what, I started my coaching company yesterday and so far we're Google Docs, Times New Roman, and black and white. You know, like I think that there's kind of an interesting conditional logic that you could build. Okay, my customers are either going to know exactly what their brand looks like or they're going to have no idea. So do you have a brand guide? Upload it. And then that implementation specialist or coach or you or whoever it is that your firm employs can have a work instruction that says, you know, click on this field where the brand guide was uploaded and take a look at it. And if it's good, then you know, click on this landing page that we deployed in this app ID and change the color. If they don't know, then the I forget what colors you had, you know, the black and pink that you had. Well, if they don't know, then they're going to be grateful that black and pink even exists, and they don't have to be fatigued by that decision if they're not ready for it. So I think that it's kind of interesting that you can, I can standardize even the customization by saying, if you bought our package that includes the new client intake form, do you have questions? Yes or no? Did you already do this on paper? If yes, show us the paper. If no, here's the standard one, right? And like equip your team or yourself to do things a little faster. In our agency, we talk about speed to value a lot because we are highly custom. We're the and you know, I should take a lesson directly because we're the antithesis of this. We do a lot of custom work, and that means that we have to pay a lot of attention to what we call speed to value, right? sure, you might be with us for 6 months, but what are you going to get in 2 weeks or 4 weeks that's going to feel like that next installment payment, is worthwhile, right? So, I think that a lot of business owners, me included, I don't know if you feel this too, the version in our heads always are very ambitious, right? So that photo that you had, I think you had, two ladies with a flip chart paper or a clipboard or something. Again, I forget exactly what was on the slide. You might imagine hiring a branding photographer and going into your office in front of your vibe board and having this like perfect picture for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that might take you 8.5 weeks to get that file from your customer, right? That's not a good speed to value. So I think it kind of speaks to the idea too, potentially, that, you're welcome to change that word in that welcome email. You're totally allowed to change the voice from formal to playful if that's you. But at least today, the formal version exists versus nothing existing. Let's wrap up with two kind of techie questions, two nerdy questions, because I think that a lot of what we talked about, again, I would encourage any listener to channel some of what we've talked about to whatever your version of this is. If you're not a Keap partner using Solution Launchpad, well, what are you and how could you build a scalable offer as a result? But these two questions are a bit more nerdy. The first is related to the various deployment options. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that they were all working. Like, I didn't know that the referral link integration was working, right? Like if you're trying to make money selling Keap apps and you're not trying to do a whole customized implementation, maybe you just want people to follow your coaching portal videos. Do you see that as a business model that people should take on? Is it right or wrong for certain people?
It is a model that people could use if you also use the coaching portal and include step-by-step instructions on how to use things so that people know what they're supposed to do with this once they bought it. Now, because I don't use that particular tool, now that you say you didn't know it was working, now I'm wondering, is it working? I'm presuming it's working. I don't use that one.
Well, I know that there's all kinds of really exciting ideas about what it could someday do, right? And including, like, could we push it using Campaign Builder in our, like, I shouldn't project and then have expectations that aren't met, but like, there's probably lots of ways that they could leverage this tool as time goes on. Technically, your belief is that the links or the one-time use links, these are the ways where you get to maintain the most, or push to app. Like, you get to control your customer's experience better.
Well,
right.
The one-time link and the push to app would be the ones where you have the most control. Because I'm interacting with my clients, I do the push to app so that, because I know that my team is going to need to do something, like it helps me determine when that is in there. I'm not waiting for them to click on a link and hope that they did it by Friday because I told my team to have this stuff ready. But if they've purchased it, if I know, okay, if I push it today and if they've filled out the intake form, then my team can get started on it, and have that piece of customization done in the next 2 days. So you have much more control over that. The one-time link is also good if you're doing the custom checklist in the coaching portal.
Right.
The one thing I don't like about that first option that's just the share link, again, is that literally anybody who has Keap can use that. So they could take that link and share it with anybody they wanted to, and they would have access. So now if I had one that was more of a demo automation,
lead magnet itself,
people, that would be perfect for a low cost. You could make it, a lead magnet, a low cost offer for yourself.
And of course, you'd want to then rely on your Keap app, right? Because like if you were giving that item as a lead magnet, then you'd want them to opt in on your opt-in form on your website and enter your Keap funnel so that you can follow up with them as they got value from that free thing, right? So you get to own that contact from the time that they opt in to either get the link or the whatever that might be that they've got, which again, you probably have more control, right? Like if you're only selling through Keap referral links, well, that's making an assumption that people don't have Keap already. But if you're only selling through your own marketplace, then you're making an assumption that they all have Keap already, right?
Right.
And like maybe this way you can use some more decision diamonds, like what CRM system are you using? This or that or something, right? And get more control over how so you're a practitioner of your own, you take your own medicine, right? You're using your Keap account to sell your scalable Keap offer. Thanks for sharing all of this. And thank you for sticking around to discuss it after you're giving your talk. I really appreciated getting to explore some of these ideas of building solutions or package or productize offers instead of always customizing everything all the time. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Did I bring a drink up here? This is today's coffee, yes. I'm still not framed at the same height as you, which makes Greg crazy. It doesn't make him crazy, he's not ever that, but He does send me screenshots every once in a while with a circle of the space above my head and a circle of the space above your head. So, if he's watching this, you know it's working. I'm paying attention now.